Hi. So, I haven't been filming anything for a really long time now because after my last program, I ended up moving to Costa Rica to get out of 5G Wi-Fi pollution so that I could breathe and soothe my nervous system and regain my health. So I've been living in the jungle, and it's amazing. It's really, truly a blessing. And we're still on lockdown here in Costa Rica, but things are super chill. We go to the beach in the mornings and just live a very natural life. And my friend Bianca, who's also living in Santa Teresa in Costa Rica, has agreed to come and do my first podcast from here. Now, Bianca is an expert on sexuality and love. She's a tantric teacher and she works with Uni Eggs, and she's been advising quite a few men's workshops on what it is that women want from men. Because I think at this point, people are getting more and more confused as to how to connect with one another. So what do you think, Bianca? What's going on sexually between men and women at this moment?
A lot. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. There's a lot going on. I think that we are all strongly conditioned. We've been conditioned by the media, by porn. It's a very, very big factor. Socially, religion, and I think that we're now at a
Conditioned
point...
to what? To be kind of disconnected to one another?
Be disconnected from our bodies, disconnected from each other. It creates difficulties to create like real intimacy, real connection.
How do you create real intimacy? What would be your number one advice?
My number one advice to real intimacy is authenticity. To speak out like anything that is going through your mind. So I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. I would like to have this and that with you.
So if you're a guy and you meet a girl, you like her, you just come clear and be like,
I like you.
I like you.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
But I'd like to develop things with you.
Yeah. Or I would like to create intimacy with you. I don't know how. Like really speaking your mind.
Yeah.
I think that authenticity is a really, really big part. And being present, like really being present in the moment. So, feeling your sensations in your body, feeling the wind on your skin, being present with the other person's body.
So it's basically feeling. Feeling your body, feeling the other person's body, feeling the sensation of what you are sharing.
Yeah, and very similar to meditation, being conscious of the fact that you're conscious in the moment to really connect to what is happening right here, because we are very often in the past, in the future. What I encounter a lot with men, what they speak a lot about is that they meet a woman and then they're like, they have like this whole master plan in their mind, like how they're going to get her into being intimate with them. And like, what is the next? Okay, so I talked to her. Okay, now I need to get her number. Okay, now I met her. Now I need to kiss her. Now I need to like touch her. And now I need to, it's like there's this thing, this plan that they're following. And rather than doing that, really like just connecting to the person in the moment and seeing the beauty that they...
So how, for a guy who's not been able to do that before, who feels nervous or awkward or shy, how are you going to draw that moment into them? How, as a sexuality coach, how are you going to talk them through being able to feel like that?
So what I would do in that case is I would work somatically with their bodies, with the sensations in their bodies. So I would, for example, take them into a situation like, imagine you are in front of this gorgeous woman and you want to connect to her and you're feeling very shy. And then like take them through the physical experience in their bodies. So they might be feeling some tightness in their chest, or they might feel like hiding, and like letting them explore the physical sensations. And then through that, coaching them through how to go into more of an open sensation in their body, how to have more presence, how to have more power, because the way that we are, the way that we hold ourselves influences our, our emotional state and our psychology, and help them to practice mindfulness, to practice being present in their body throughout their lives. And then in those moments, it will be easier, right, to like drop back into the moment, breathe, really be here, be present, because that is really, we feel that. Like I'm talking to you now and you feel my presence with you, right? Yes. And if I'm like thinking about things and I'm kind of like getting, you feel the distance that is building up, and that like real connection is something that's really, really nourishes our soul, and it's what we're all craving.
So the way sexuality has become through the media, through conditioning of the mind, that sacred connection to God or the universe that you actually can practice through sexuality has almost vanished. It's like an ancient spiritual tradition that is Tantra, right? So if you have someone who's interested in discovering this, like where do you begin?
First of all, I would say the most important thing is to work on changing our mindset around what sexuality actually is.
Why is it we feel ashamed of sexuality? Like, where did that come from? It doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I think that it was really, like, that's my personal take on it, is that it was designed in this way to take our power, because like this it's very easy to control people. It's very easy to make us feel like we need things, we need to buy things, we need to be a certain way, And when we actually tune into this power in our own bodies, we become the most powerful creators, and we can, we're satisfied with whatever we have here in this present moment.
So it's actually like you don't need more stuff when you're just internally in your power.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think that religion,
I mean, in a way, it does seem like the most sacred thing of all, sexuality, where it's like literally, if you practice it the right way, it's like a hot wire to the universe, and manifestation was degraded into like almost like a sport, or like something that is not sacred at all, actually,
Yeah, there's something that also like really, that we take it as like an ego. It's very ego based in our society. So and I mean, a lot of change is happening. A lot of people are open to Tantra, are open to learning it. A lot of people are researching about the pagan traditions and Egyptian alchemy and Taoism and all of these older traditions. So it's really like coming back up. I wouldn't say that all of us are, but in general, there is this trend in our society, and I believe that it's a lot about like, like what does sex mean about me? Like how big is my cock? How beautiful am I? How many women do I have? And what does that mean about me and about my value as a human being, rather than how.
So it's identity.
Yeah.
Identity. I got this many women.
And that's why I'm awesome. And rather than I can have an amazingly beautiful connection with another human being, I can feel the energy moving through my body. I can, exchange energy with another person.
So what is the difference between like making love and fucking in your...
I think that fucking can be very spiritual as well.
Oh, yeah?
But I do know what you mean. I think that there is a disconnected way of having sex. I'm in my mind, I'm having fantasies, I'm reenacting something that I saw in porn. There's this distance between me and the other person. And rather than, like really being connected, really feeling each other, being connected to all of our senses, breathing deeply, moving because of how my body wants to move in this moment and not, how I feel like I should be moving, liberating our voices, the sounds. Just more free, more liberated and connected.
So, as a tradition or spiritual form, how do you even begin to study or get into that? I know I had a tantric lover once, and I had a third eye orgasm, and some crazy stuff happened. Actually, like my body was almost. It felt like I was levitating after. And it was a totally, entirely different kind of sensation. He was a master, meaning he spent a lot of energy studying it. I didn't know anything about Tantra, but he talked me through it. He explained how to breathe, what to do, blah, blah, blah. So it was like a really eye-opening experience for me. But tell me more about the tradition of Tantra if people wanted to really study it. How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I grew up in India. I lived there for a few years in my childhood, and so I was exposed to all the Indian deities and not so much of the philosophy, but I think I absorbed a lot of the energy of it. And at some point I was studying law in Germany, and I realized that that's not what I want to do. And I discovered somatic therapy. So I started to work with people on their bodies, hands-on, helping them to come home into their bodies.
So hands-on, what energetically, or?
No, really touching their muscles, their bones, really working with their bodies and helping them to feel their bodies more, to accept the emotions they have within them. And to open their bodies up to more of a flow of energy. And from that, I realized how much my own sexuality was impacted. I used to struggle a lot with my own sexuality, and how much the people that I was working with, their sexuality was impacted by this work. And I discovered the Love, Sex, and Relationship coaching program from the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality. And I took a really deep dive into Tantra and Taoism.
And were you okay, law is not for me?
I never looked back.
Okay.
A single moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy I stopped. And so your question was how to
pursue the actual art of tantric sexuality as a spiritual tradition, if that makes sense.
So basically there is a lot of how-to in the tantric world, in the neo-tantric world, and there are many books out there. There's a lot of workshops, but there is something that I find is good to start with, which is more of the Tantric philosophy and integrating that into your daily life.
And how do you do that?
So first, it has a lot to do with presence. Just being present, I'm washing the dishes. I'm walking through the jungle, really feeling, the moment, feeling the earth, really activating all of your senses. A tantric tradition has a lot to do with seeing the divinity in everything that is, and every human that I'm connecting to, and the bamboo behind us, and little dog.
Especially little dog.
Especially little dog. And really making that a practice. Also seeing the divine in, the bad stuff that is happening in the world. And accepting
this current time, it has been super interesting. There is always a divine plan, but there's always lessons. And we got to learn to evolve, We got to learn our lessons in order to move to a different level, And definitely this lockdown, the virus, it seems to me we're just finally starting to truly break free of this system that's completely enslaving us. I mean, when you study the history of these secret societies that have had total control over our daily life. And now it's the climax, I hope, has been this virus and locking us down, making us wear a mask, telling us not to go in the sunshine, the ocean, the two biggest healers in this universe. It's like, I understand. Human touch, disconnect from each other. Like, what an agenda, you know? So here you are as a coach telling people connect. This is the most important thing you can do. Heal your trauma, connect to one another, be loving, love each other.
Yeah, and liberate yourself from all of this conditioning that we've taken on. That's really a daily practice, is to see like, how am I not being my authentic self? How am I like holding myself back? Where am I not allowing myself to experience pleasure? Where am I like pulling back when I actually want to open up and want to connect? So really, you know, doing that as a daily practice, seeing liberation as, you know, my everyday work.
Now, do you need a partner in order to practice?
No, you don't. I think that one of the most beautiful things about the tantric traditions is that you can experience spirituality with a partner, which doesn't exist anywhere else really. And I think there is a lot of beauty in that, but you absolutely don't need a partner to practice Tantra.
Okay. So if you're single, you practice on yourself? Or?
So, you know, like I said, connecting to your body, to the moment, being super gentle with yourself, having self-pleasure rituals, as opposed to having, you know, habituated masturbation.
Yeah, because actually masturbation just makes you feel lonely, really. Like,
if you do it the wrong way, if you do it in a way that you deplete your energy. But if you actually like circulate your energy as you're doing it, if you're actually connecting to your body and really feeling, what does my body want in this moment? It's a very, very different experience. And also, like, you know, having an orgasm from just the sensations in your body is very different than having an orgasm from having fantasies or watching porn, right?
So for people who don't really understand what you're talking about, can you describe that sort of orgasm as compared to the other sort of orgasm? What's the difference?
So I think you can really feel it in the way that you feel afterwards. Like, you feel kind of, you know, there's this like a build up of energy, and then it's like bam, and then there's this explosion, and then it just drops, and you just, you know, you're just totally dead, and you don't want to have anything to do with sexuality. It's not, you're not sexual from one second to the next. And the other experience is more like it just builds up, and you stay up, and you're up for a long time, and you might be up for like 3 days, and you feel, you know, it's a
you mean you're
orgasming
for 3 days? Oh.
You can. That definitely is possible. But also just the after effect of it is like you feel high, you feel energized, you feel, and there's also this experience of like a deeper meaning through it. It feels less empty and more like, you know, life and
I mean, definitely
cosmic.
When I started making love in a different way, I would get super high for days and just feel completely at one with everything afterwards. And as I said, even to the point of feeling like I was levitating. It's really mind-blowing.
That experience of oneness with everything, that is like a very common experience for people, and that is really like the heart of the tantric tradition. Like, I am divine and everything is divine, and we're all connected. This is all one.
So for people who want to get started on this journey, they start to practice by themselves, read maybe the philosophy of these esoteric teachings. What else? What else in this journey? How do you disconnect from feeling ashamed or guilty or all those feelings that has been indoctrinated into us via sexuality? Like,
So I think it's less of a disconnecting from those feelings. I think that they have so much power over us because we're trying to disconnect from them constantly because they feel so uncomfortable. And it's rather a allowing them to be there, allowing them to come and loving them, embracing them. So for example, something that I love to give to people as like a homework is to have a self-pleasure ritual and then be super conscious with what is coming up. And then often there will be, in women, there will often be like these pieces that are like, I'm not allowed to really feel pleasure, or I'm not going to have an orgasm anyway, or my body is not beautiful, or like all of these voices that come up. And then
so negative voices.
Yeah, and these like very heavy old emotions that we know very well because we've experienced them multiple times, most likely from when we were like little children. And then to embrace those emotions and to say, it's okay that you're there. I hold you. I love you. I accept you. I'm going to hear you out. I'm hearing what you have to say. And then I'm going to connect to pleasure again, right?
So when you, let's say you're working with a client who's sexually traumatized, how do you detox from that kind of trauma in order to be able to like feel this kind of sacred sexuality? Because you kind of have to deal with that before you can go into that space, I imagine.
Yeah.
You tell me.
So if someone has a very, very strong trauma and has not done any work whatsoever, I would probably, I will be more likely to send them to someone who is specialized in trauma. But if someone has already done the work, has already done therapy, and has already, done various things and working on their trauma, what I would do is like really focus on being in their bodies, helping them to be embodied. Because what happens in when we experience trauma is that a part of us splits and is like outside of our bodies. So bringing back those pieces and integrating the emotions, integrating the pieces of us that are disintegrated from that experience.
So often when you're disconnected while you're doing while you're having sexual intimacy with a partner, it's because of trauma? Or?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. One thing that I talk to my clients a lot about is that when we actually have those intimate connections, those old memories, those old emotions, and all of that can come back up. So it's really important to talk about that with your partner beforehand and to have a space in which it is okay to experience those emotions when they come up.
How do you learn? So learning to communicate safely with trust, open communication, that's a whole long learning thing. Is that the foreplay in a way?
That can be the foreplay.
Yeah.
That can be like things like putting a timer and then asking each other like very intimate questions and allowing the other person to communicate them and experience, like give the space for them to really express themselves is something that can create an amazing intimacy between two people.
So if you have a client who's like obsessed by porn, who really only thinks of sexuality in a pornographic way, where do you begin as a coach? Like, how do you disconnect? Like,
the first part is like educating people about that is not the real world, and that if you are watching porn and you're going to go out into the world and going to hope that you're going to experience exactly that, you're going to be disappointed. There's this actress, I forgot her name, she had this amazing thing to say, but she said that watching porn and then thinking that that you know how to have sex from watching porn is like watching the Fast and the Furious and thinking now you know how to drive a car. So it's just, it's just totally, it doesn't have a lot to do with, I mean, sex can look like that, but the problem about porn is that it doesn't really show what you're feeling, right? It's very hard to really connect to the sensation. So if somebody will, grow up like teenagers nowadays, they have not had any sexual experience and then they watch porn, And then, they believe that like every time you have sex, you need to come in a woman's face. Like that's the thing. Like, that's what always happens in the end of it, right? And like some women like that and some women don't like that, right? So first of all, like, yeah, educating people about what actually, what's the difference between porn and like real life sexuality. And if somebody has a real addiction to porn, I would, what I would recommend is to slowly start to, sometimes watch porn and sometimes just masturbate without watching porn. And like slowly get yourself off of the porn more and more.
So by like, don't go cold turkey.
Exactly.
Slowly like trapping it down.
Yeah, because that's not very likely to work, I think. But like really slowly, building up more of the connection with yourself. And then when you're doing that, like really breathing, feeling the sensation, sounding, starting to move energy. So like from the pelvis, breathing the energy up throughout your body, breathing the energy into your heart. And, starting with like having fantasies and then also at some point trying to like really just feel your body without.
So it's really just about feeling your body. That's where it begins, even for like a guy who's been desensitized so badly from sexuality.
Yeah, because when we're like, all of our awareness is on that screen, right? There's not a lot left right here where the actual sexual act is happening.
Tell me about the eggs.
The Uni Eggs. Yeah, so the Uni Eggs are part of the Taoist tradition. And they are eggs made of jade that you insert into the yoni. And then...
What is the yoni?
The yoni is a vagina.
Let's make sure everyone understands.
The yoni is a Sanskrit word for vagina.
So you put the egg in the vagina, and then...
And then you work with the egg. You pull it up, you push it down. What you do is you create more sensitivity in your vagina. You create more of a dexterity. So, like a pianist would have like magical hands, or, a carpenter, somebody that works a lot with their hands. If you work a lot with your vagina, then there's more sensation there. There's more ability to move like different parts to create more sensation.
So it's like an exercise for your vagina.
Yeah, it's that, and then there's also the whole energetic part of it, and
from the crystal,
from the jade itself, and from releasing the energy that we often have.
Is it always jade or different crystals?
There are different crystals. Yeah. I work with jade and obsidian because they're the most dense. And it's less likely that there will be tiny cracks inside of them that can house bacteria. So they're like the most safe to use. And so jade is the traditional egg from the Taoist system.
So you put it in your vagina, you work with it, like making exercises.
Exactly.
Squeezing it with your vagina.
Yeah, and then you can, just move the right wall towards the egg, and you can pull from these walls, you can pull from these walls, you can move it towards your G-spot, your cervix. You move energy in your body as you're doing these practices. You open up, different energy channels towards the center of your body, by the sides of your spine. And you do things like clearing out the energy from your organs, for example. So you can like visualize your liver if you want to clear your liver. And then you squeeze.
Like healing.
Yeah, squeeze around the egg. You push the energy from your liver into the egg. There's endless practices.
And has your sexuality ever healed you from physical, spiritual, mental ailments?
Absolutely.
Yeah. In which way? Tell us about that.
I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, a lot of violence and different kinds of trauma, from everything a little bit, I would say. And I spent a lot of my life very much disconnected from my body, very scared of people.
Because of the trauma.
Very low self-worth. And the sexuality is really something that has helped me to come back into my body, to experience the divinity of my temple, right? My physical body. to experience deeper connection with another human being. I've had really like out of body experiences from sex, flying through the cosmos, and really that experience that you've described, this like oneness with everything that is. I think that is probably the most healing experience that we can have, because when we experience trauma, there is this sense of separation, right?
Yeah.
So very strong
Disconnection.
Very strong disconnection. So yeah.
Disassociation is called in psychological terms.
Yeah.
So definitely sexuality can pull you back into your body. So as a teacher, what is your greatest hope that we as a human race move forward towards using sex? In which way?
For me, this is my my vision, and this is what, in days when it's hard to do the work that I want to do, like what propels me forward, is the vision that we as humans, as humanity, will understand the sacredness of sexuality, will understand how beautiful it is, will be able to fall in love with it again. Because I really believe that when every single person on this planet experiences sexuality as that, there's no more space for war, for rape, for violence. It's just, I just see, like absolute utopia just through sexuality.
I mean, I have to say that, like, when I talk to people, let's say I meet a guy and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, sex for me is an expression of love between two people. They look at me completely confused. Like, what are you talking about? It doesn't have to be for more than a day, but it really should be an expression of love, very loving, care for one another, and that's the divinity. It's like that's how you go there, by making sure that both of you are feeling connected, feeling a loving vibration towards each other. And it can start to become healing instead of traumatizing,
Yeah, and there's also, I think that's very beautiful in the sense that you are expressing your own self-worth. It's like, this is what it means to me, and this is what I want to experience, and I'm not going to experience anything less than that in order to please you, or in order to show, like, prove to myself that, like, I'm, attractive or desirable or whatever. But yeah.
Well, so I mean, it's kind of sad. I see a lot of women who are totally connected to that side of themselves, but very few men. And I see a lot of women fed up with the fact that they can't find a partner who do understand, or who's interested in making love in that way. What would you say to all those women looking for their tantric connected lover? Like a word of encouragement, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely there are more and more men, waking up to this, and that I think that there's a lot of confusion for men around it, and a lot of insecurity, and the feeling that they might do something wrong.
But is there something wrong? Like, if you're just feeling connected, there's nothing wrong, right? You can't really do something wrong.
Yeah, but there is this sensation, there was a Me Too movement, which was super important for us as humans. And I think that after that, what I hear a lot from men is like, I don't even know what to do. Should I be like the strong masculine, or should I just be like,
super
hold
confusing.
myself back? Or like, can I touch a woman or not? Or do I need to ask for permission? Or like, there's so many questions that they're not, really like able to really feel their bodies and, feel the real experience, and like really experience the person and feel what she wants and what is okay.
That's the thing. If you're in your body and you're feeling it, you feel the invitation, you feel the rejection, you feel it like boom. Yeah.
But there are so many men's circles happening, and there are a lot of men, that are interested in Tantra, and that are, going to workshops and doing coaching, and I think that it definitely is there. And What I can say to women that are looking for that is, connect to yourself in that, and you will more and more, attract people and situations where you will be able to express that with another human.
Yeah.
And then also, I think when you have a partner and you do want to experience this with them, not like pushing it onto them with like force.
So how do you encourage your partner to become interested in this?
I think just slowly doing a practice here and there and showing them that like when there is, when we start to move with the energies, there's more sensations. As a woman, I'm more satisfied. I think that what I see so often in men is that they have this very, very deep desire to like really please a woman, to be like the best lover she could ever have.
Yeah.
And from that, there is a lot of motivation to go into these things.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so I think I'm hearing don't give up. We're all learning. And maybe the practice of sexuality is going to change radically in the next 5-10 years. I hope so.
I do believe, yeah.
I mean, it's very strange when you look at the hip hop movement, the way they talk about women, the lack of connection, like that has been mantras of disconnection just by every artist, so it's so interesting now we're coming into a different, more loving time.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means we have to keep our minds open and try and not bring in these preconceived ideas or guilt, shame, and just be present with one another. I mean, you make love to everything at all times. Me and Little Dog are making love right now. Me and Bianca is making love right now. It doesn't have to be an act of sexuality. It just has to be an act of respect and love between two people, So mindfulness is the way. Feeling yourself, go ahead. And what else any advice, Bianca? I mean,
really seeing the divinity in it all. I think that's the main part, is appreciating the divine in our bodies, in everyone, and in our sexuality. Really seeing that this is an act through which we can recharge our entire system, connect to the divine, fall in love with ourselves, and really basically all the things that we really do want underneath all of the superficial things that we think we want.
I mean, connecting to the divine really is I believe, another word for opening your heart, truly opening your heart and feeling connected with everything. And once you're in the vibration of love instead of fear, the way you make love will change automatically. You don't even have to learn anything about it. It's just different. Certainly it was for me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for doing the show with me. I hope that Bianca's advice and coaching can start you on your journey of making love for love instead of power or whatever it is. And let you be curious, because there's a lot to learn. Okay, thank you. Goodbye from Costa Rica. Pura vida.